The Galactic Council chamber was silent. A silence so deep that it swallowed even the sound of breathing. Under the bright white lights, a man stood alone in the center of the circular hall. His hands were tied behind his back. Above him, a single noose hung from the ceiling, a symbol of punishment that hadn't been used for centuries. That man was Ambassador Elias Reeve, the first and only human ever allowed to speak in the Galactic Council. Around him sat hundreds of alien delegates, scaled, feathered, armored, or transparent, watching him like he was a dangerous animal behind invisible glass. The Council Hall of Judgment was vast and golden, its walls covered with banners of 1,000 species. In the middle, a round table glowed softly, filled with leaders who ruled entire galaxies. Behind Reeve, 2 flags stood side by side, one of the United Galactic Order, and one of Earth, the blue planet that no one respected anymore. The Council's High Speaker, a tall alien with pale crystal skin, rose from his seat. His voice was smooth, almost beautiful, but cold. "Elias Reeve of Earth," he declared, "you stand accused of treason against the Galactic Order. You defied the Council's will. You threatened peace. You refused obedience." Reeve lifted his head slowly. His neck showed bruises from the chains. His uniform, a once sharp and clean one, was torn at the collar. But his eyes burned with something unbroken. He spoke calmly. "Peace? You call slavery peace. You call silence justice. You forced our worlds to pay tribute, took our oceans, mined our moons, and called it unity." A low murmur spread through the chamber. The High Speaker's crystal body flickered faintly, a sign of anger. "You were warned, human. Defiance brings chaos. Your species has always brought chaos." Reeve smiled faintly. "Maybe. But chaos is how we survive." Says. A few delegates laughed bitterly. A reptilian general hissed, "Execute him already." The High Speaker nodded to the guards. 2 armored sentinels stepped forward, towering insectoids with glowing eyes. One reached for the rope above Reeve's head, but Reeve didn't look afraid. He stood tall, staring at the Council as if he were the one passing judgment. "You don't understand what you've done," he said softly. "You think killing one man ends a species. You're wrong. You've just signed your own death sentence." The High Speaker tilted his head. "Your threats die with you." Reeve's voice rose, firm and echoing. "No, my words will reach them. My people will hear. And when they do, they'll come for you. Not tomorrow, not next year. But one day, when you've forgotten this moment, you'll look at the stars and you'll see our ships." He took a deep breath. "You'll remember this rope." The guards pulled the lever. The noose tightened, and the first human diplomat in galactic history, the voice of Earth, fell silent. The council chamber stayed still. No one clapped. No one spoke. The tension in the air felt like a storm waiting to break. After a moment, the High Speaker turned away. "Let the record show. Humanity is now a restricted species. Their systems will be monitored. Their communications severed. Earth is no longer a member of the Galactic Order." The chamber lights dimmed. The delegates began to leave. Hundreds of shapes and shadows filing out through the shining corridors. Only one alien remained seated, an older being covered in silver scales. His voice was slow, thoughtful. "You shouldn't have killed him," he said. The High Speaker paused at the door. "Why not?" The old alien looked up. "Humans don't forget." Hours later, the Council broadcast the execution across the galaxy. Billions of screens lit up, on distant moons, space stations, and colonies. The message was clear. Earth had been silenced. But on the small blue planet at the edge of the Milky Way, something strange happened. Every communication channel went dark. No response, no signal. The United Nations Space Network, offline. Embassies, abandoned. Even the lunar outposts, silent. The galaxy thought Earth had accepted defeat, that the humans had finally bowed their heads. But inside hidden bunkers deep below the planet's crust, others were watching. Men and women in black uniforms stared at the transmission, the image of Reeve's final moments. No one spoke. The room was filled only with the hum of machinery and the faint static of lost transmissions. At last, a woman with short gray hair, Commander Lyra Han, stood up. Her voice was low, almost trembling. "They killed him." A soldier whispered, "What do we do now?" Lyra turned to the large screen behind her. It displayed Earth's symbol, half covered in red. She said quietly, "We remember." She pressed a button. Across the solar system, dark satellites awakened from sleep. Subterranean hangars opened. The ground trembled. Something ancient and hidden began to move beneath the oceans. And far out in space, on a silent listening station orbiting Jupiter, a computer came online by itself. It played the final audio of Elias Reeve's voice, recorded seconds before his death. "You'll remember this rope." Then the system started transmitting a coded message through deep space, a signal that repeated endlessly across human channels. Judgment postponed. No one in the galaxy understood what it meant. But those who knew humans, those who had fought them before, they felt it. It wasn't surrender. It was a promise. Weeks passed after the execution. The Galactic Council moved on, or at least they pretended to. Officially, the death of Ambassador Elias Reeve marked the end of the human problem. The Council declared it a victory for peace, claiming that rebellion had been stopped before it could spread. But peace didn't come. Something strange began to happen. For the first time in centuries, the Sol system, the region of space ruled by Earth, went completely silent. No trade signals, no diplomatic calls, no freighter routes, not even automated beacons. The humans had vanished behind a curtain of silence. At first, the Council didn't care. Humans were a minor species, emotional, loud, and unpredictable. Let them sulk in their little system, the aliens said. Let them grieve and fade. But after 3 months, worry started to grow. Patrol fleets sent near human space stopped returning. A scout ship, the Varian Dawn, entered orbit near Mars. Its captain sent one final report. No signs of life. No transmissions. All stations abandoned. Then, nothing. The signal cut mid-sentence. The ship never came back. The Galactic Council tried to hide it from the public. They said the Varian Dawn had malfunctioned, lost to solar radiation. But the rumor spread fast. People whispered that something was wrong, that Earth wasn't dead, only waiting. Inside the council chamber, meetings grew tense. High Speaker Varen stood before the gathered delegates. His crystal body pulsed with irritation. "This paranoia must end," he said. "Humans cannot threaten us. They have no fleets, no colonies beyond Sol, and no allies. They are finished." But not everyone agreed. General Korth, a reptilian commander whose army once fought alongside humans decades ago, slammed his clawed fist on the table. "You don't understand them, Speaker. You humiliated them before the whole galaxy. You didn't kill one man. You made a martyr." Another delegate, a soft-voiced avian, fluttered her feathers nervously. "Perhaps we should send envoys. Offer peace again?" Varen's voice turned sharp. "Peace after defiance? We do not beg forgiveness from primitives." He waved a hand and holograms appeared. Data charts, timelines, trade reports. Without Earth, the Council's economy is stable. Humanity's silence only benefits us. The meeting ended with reluctant agreement. But outside the Golden Halls, the truth was different. In the shadows of the outer colonies, alien traders whispered stories. Stories of strange human drones seen drifting near asteroid belts, silent and cold until approached. When scanned, they exploded, leaving no trace. On a frontier moon called Therion, an entire mining station vanished overnight. All that remained was a message carved into the steel walls. "We remember Reeve." The Council dismissed it as a hoax. But more incidents followed. A convoy carrying Council technology vanished in hyperspace. A fleet patrol found the wreckage, cut clean through as if by invisible blades. The ship logs ended with static and one chilling sound, a faint human voice whispering through the comms. Judgment postponed. Fear spread quietly through the ranks of soldiers and diplomats. It wasn't open war yet, it was something worse. A shadow that moved unseen. Meanwhile, deep within Earth's hidden bunkers, humanity prepared. Commander Lyra Hahn walked through a massive underground hangar, her boots echoing on the metal floor. Rows of machines stood in darkness, enormous, silent, waiting. Above them, the words Project Revenant were painted in red. A young officer ran beside her. "Ma'am, all systems are synchronized. The fleet is charged and cloaked. No Council sensors can detect us." Lyra nodded, eyes hard. "Good. The longer they think we're gone, the stronger we become." She stopped before a huge black structure at the end of the hall, a ship unlike any other. Its surface shimmered like liquid shadow, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. This was humanity's new weapon, a dark matter warship, born from stolen alien designs and human obsession. Lyra looked at it silently for a long moment. Reeve warned them, she said softly. They laughed. Let's see if they're still laughing. The officer hesitated. When do we strike? Not yet, Lyra replied. We wait. We let fear do the work first. Months turned into a year. The galaxy's fear of humanity grew like a spreading fire. Children on alien worlds whispered ghost stories about the humans in the dark. Merchants refused to travel near human space. Even pirates avoided the Sol border. Every now and then, strange signals appeared on long-range sensors, low-frequency bursts in ancient human code. They always said the same 3 words, judgment postponed. Remember, Reeve. Then they vanished. The Council tried to erase the messages, but they kept appearing in more places, on ship consoles, planetary billboards, even inside government networks. It was impossible. No one could hack the Council core from outside. No one except humans. Inside the Council chambers, panic finally began to show. General Korth stood up again. This is not coincidence. They're sending a warning. Varen tried to stay calm. You think humans can wage war on an empire that spans galaxies? Korth's eyes narrowed. Not openly, but they'll bleed us from the inside. One system at a time. The high speaker fell silent. For the first time, the glow of his body dimmed slightly, a sign of fear. Far away, at the edge of the Milky Way, a single human ship floated beyond the reach of scanners. It was the Erebus command vessel of the hidden human fleet. Commander Lyra stood on its bridge looking at the stars. Transmit phase signal, she ordered. An officer asked quietly. Which message, ma'am? Lyra turned to him. Her expression was cold, but her voice held quiet rage. The one he died for. A low hum filled the ship as massive arrays aligned. Across hundreds of light years, human satellites awakened. A signal spread through the void. Powerful, rhythmic, unstoppable. The Council executed one of us. Now we execute silence. And somewhere in a forgotten archive deep in the Council's core systems, Ambassador Reeve's image flickered alive for the first time since his death. His eyes stared straight into the camera. His lips moved slowly, forming a final message. You'll remember this rope. 2 years after the execution of Ambassador Elias Reeve, the galaxy had learned to live with fear. The fear had no name, no flag, no sound, but only silence. Trade routes near Sol remained closed. Patrol ships vanished without trace. Entire colonies disappeared overnight, leaving behind one phrase burned into metal or sand. We remember. The Galactic Council tried everything. New patrols, new sensors, even psychic scouts. But nothing worked. It was like the humans had turned into ghosts. Then one day the silence broke. It began near the Perseus Arm, a quiet stretch of space where the Council's 7th Fleet guarded the trade lanes. At 0300 hours, a faint reading appeared on their long-range scanners. Unidentified movement, small, fast, and silent. The fleet commander, Admiral Carr, stared at the screen. Pirates? The officer shook his head. Too organized, sir. They're flying in formation. Carr frowned. Transmit hailing frequencies. Static. No response, then the lights dimmed. Every monitor on the bridge flickered, showing a blank black screen. A moment later, words appeared, glowing white text written in an ancient Terran font. Judgment begins. The bridge went dark. And before anyone could speak, the stars outside turned red. Thousands of unknown ships dropped from hyperspace. Massive, black, and silent. They moved like shadows across the void, forming perfect formations around the 7th Fleet. No engine glow. No transmissions, only movement. Their hulls absorbed light itself, blacker than space. The human fleet had returned. Admiral Carr panicked. All batteries, open fire! Dozens of Council warships unleashed plasma volleys. The beams struck the human ships, but the light bent and vanished. Their shields were invisible, their armor unbreakable. Within seconds, the humans fired back. No sound, no explosions, just precision. Beams of white light cutting through battleships like paper. Each strike was surgical. Command bridges destroyed, engines melted, weapons disabled. In under 5 minutes, the 7th Fleet, The pride of the Council Navy, Waram, was gone. No wreckage drifted. No escape pods survived. Only silence. Across the galaxy, alarms went off in hundreds of stations. The Council's core worlds entered emergency mode. Every communication channel filled with panic. Unknown fleet attacking from the dark. They don't respond. It's them, the humans. The high speaker stood in disbelief as his advisors shouted updates. How? He whispered. We destroyed their fleets decades ago. An aide replied, trembling. They rebuilt, speaker, in secret. They were never gone. Meanwhile, on the flagship Erebus, Commander Lyra Han watched from her command chair as the Council fleets burned across the stars. The image of Reeve's execution flickered on her screen. She had watched it 1,000 times. Transmit the warning to all systems, she said. The officer nodded. Message, ma'am? She smiled faintly. The same one he gave them. A deep hum filled the room as the transmission began. Every comm network across the galaxy froze. Every billboard, every hologram, every display, and every council city showed the same image. Reeve standing before his noose. Then his voice played. You'll remember this rope. The Council's golden capital fell into chaos. In orbit above the Council's homeworld, the human dark fleet appeared. Hundreds of dark matter warships surrounded the planet like silent gods. Each one carried a name from Earth's history. Jericho, Hiroshima, Warsaw, Karachi, Alexandria, Sao Paulo. They didn't demand surrender. They didn't send envoys. They simply waited. Inside the council chamber, panic reigned. Delegates screamed at one another, voices echoing off marble walls. They'll destroy us. Negotiate. Hide. But High Speaker Varen stood motionless, trembling. He remembered the words Reeve had spoken before his death. You'll look at the stars and you'll see our ships. Now those words had come true. He turned to his generals. What do they want? General Korth, the old reptilian warrior, lowered his head. They don't want anything. They want us to remember. Out in orbit, the humans began their silent invasion. They didn't use landing troops. They used precision. Power grids collapsed. Communications went offline. Every defense drone turned against its owner. Earth's AI ghosts, coded in Reeve's own voice, had infiltrated every system of the Council. The High Speaker screamed, "Shut them down!" The reply came from his own computer. Reeve's digital face appeared on the screen. You shut us down first. The entire hall froze as his hologram flickered to life, smiling faintly. You called us chaotic, but chaos learns. Chaos remembers. Then with one signal, the planetary shields fell. Human warships descended through the clouds, silent, black, unstoppable, across the surface. People watched as the sky darkened with the shadow of human ships. They weren't conquering and they were reminding. Cities were left standing, but every government collapsed. Every weapon was disarmed. Every symbol of the Council's authority was burned into dust. On the main broadcast tower of the Capitol, Commander Lyra Han stood beneath the same flagpole where Reeve's body had once hung in the broadcast. This time she raised a different flag, a new symbol of Earth, a silver star over a black field. She turned to her soldiers. This isn't revenge, she said quietly. This is memory. She looked toward the horizon where the Council's towers burned under the setting sun. They'll never forget this day. Back aboard the Erebus, the AI version of Elias Reeve spoke softly through the speakers. They thought death would silence me. But we don't die in silence. We echo. The crew stood silent as his hologram faded, leaving only his final words etched on every screen in the fleet. For every voice they silenced, we speak louder. In the following weeks, half the galaxy surrendered. The rest simply went quiet. The Galactic Council was gone, and from the edge of space, humanity's fleet waited not to rule but to remind. Everywhere they went, they left one mark carved into stone, metal, and sky alike. Remember Reeve, judgment postponed. The galaxy was burning, not from destruction, but from fear. After the fall of the Council's capital, every system lived under the silent presence of Earth's fleet. The humans didn't occupy worlds. They didn't enslave species. They simply watched, and when a planet dared to rebuild its armies, the sky would darken, and the ships would appear. No warning. No negotiation, just silence, and then nothing. For most of the galaxy, that was enough. They obeyed, But for the survivors of the Council, silence was unbearable. Some of them formed a secret alliance, a resistance born out of fear. They called themselves the Restored Order, believing they could take back the galaxy from human shadows. They had no idea what they were about to wake. In the ruins of the old council hall, now cracked and overgrown, General Korth stood among the ghosts of marble pillars. He had been there the day Elias Reeve was executed. He had warned the High Speaker and been ignored. Now Korth was the only one left alive. Around him stood new leaders of alien worlds, desperate, proud, foolish. "We must strike," one of them hissed. "We have numbers. We have ships." Korth stared at the floor. "You don't have understanding. They're not fighting like before." A young alien, his skin shimmering like oil, stepped forward. "They are only flesh. They can be broken." Korth turned slowly, his scarred face lit by the dim light through broken glass. "You think you can break ghosts?" The room went silent, but it was already too late. Hidden satellites orbiting the ruins had detected the meeting, and far away aboard the Erebus, humanity's command AI had already spoken a single word: awaken. Within hours, across distant stars, the sky began to move. Black shapes emerged from nebula clouds, the dark fleet reborn. But this time something was different. The ships were faster, quieter, more alive. They no longer flew by orders. They responded to intent, to whispers, to memory. Humanity had evolved its war machines into extensions of thought. Each ship was partly mechanical, partly biological, grown from Earth's oceans and fueled by dark matter energy. They called them sentinels, vessels that could act, adapt, and remember pain. Commander Lyra Han stood before a holographic map showing dozens of council worlds blinking red. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned. "They called it peace when they killed him," she said. "Now we'll show them what peace feels like to us." Her second officer hesitated. "Ma'am, do we destroy them all?" Lyra's answer was colder than space. "No. We remind them again and again until remembering hurts." The first strike came at Zar-Tekefur, a fortress planet once known for building the Council's fleet. The Restored Order had reactivated its shipyards trying to rebuild a navy. They never saw the humans coming. At dawn, the stars vanished, blocked by thousands of dark silhouettes. Then, without a single shot, every power grid failed. Every engine shut down. Every defense system turned inward. On the planet's surface, soldiers ran through the halls of the command center, panicking. "EMP attack?" one shouted. "No, something else." The monitors flickered, and on every screen appeared the same image: Elias Reeve's face. "You built new chains," his voice said, slow and cold. "We break them again." Within minutes, Zar-Tekefur was gone, not destroyed, not burned, just erased. Its orbit was empty, as if the planet had never existed. News spread like wildfire. Every race remembered the execution now. They remembered the rope, the laughter, the arrogance, and now they understood the meaning of Reeve's words. "You'll remember this rope." Humanity's vengeance had no schedule, no army to fight, no face to target. It came from everywhere and nowhere, but not every human felt pride. Some began to question the endless war. In the command center of the Erebus, a young lieutenant named Marcus Vale watched the stars fade on the screen. "Commander," he said softly, "how long will this go on?" Lyra didn't answer immediately. She looked at Reeve's hologram, still active on the side display, his expression forever calm. "Until they stop forgetting," she said. Marcus frowned. "And if they never forget?" Her voice turned to steel. "Then we never stop." Far from any world, in a lonely asteroid base, members of the Restored Order tried to communicate through hidden channels. They sent encrypted messages, desperate pleas for help, searching for allies. Their messages didn't reach anyone. Instead, they received one in return. From unknown origin message, "We remember. Judgment postponed." Seconds later, their base imploded, crushed by gravitational distortion. But the most terrifying part wasn't the attacks. It was what came after. On every world touched by humanity's vengeance, the same pattern appeared. Earth didn't occupy them. Instead, it left something behind. A beacon, small and black, buried deep within the ground. It emitted a faint hum like a heartbeat. Whenever someone tried to remove it, it whispered Reeve's voice through every frequency. "We are watching." Over time, those beacons spread across half the galaxy. No one knew how many existed. No one dared to destroy one. Years passed. Children born after the Council's fall grew up under humanity's shadow. They were taught not to hate, not to resist, not to speak too loudly. The humans had become something beyond conquerors. They were history itself, living memory. And in that silence, Earth grew stronger. The Erebus drifted through the stars, its hull covered in the names of fallen humans. Inside, Commander Lyra stood alone before the viewport. "Reeve," she whispered, "you said revenge never ends." "You were right." The hologram flickered to life beside her, its eyes soft but steady. "Revenge isn't the goal, Lyra, memory is. As long as they remember us, we live forever." Outside, the dark fleet moved like a shadow across the cosmos, unstoppable, eternal, unending. And somewhere in the darkness, a single voice whispered through every beacon, every ship, every star, "We remember." The Galactic Council no longer existed, not in power, not in purpose, not in pride. Its shining halls were ruins now, half buried under the weight of its own arrogance. Yet something still remained, the memory of its crimes, and the ghosts of those who refused to admit defeat. A faint hum echoed through the shattered corridors of the old capital. The once bright banners now hung in tatters, and the great symbol of unity that had once floated above the chamber was cracked in half. A transmission spread through the galaxy. "The Council will reconvene. The galaxy must restore order." The words came from the restored order, the last remnants of the Council. Desperate leaders scattered across the stars, trying to rise again. They thought humanity would not notice. They were wrong. In the command chamber of the Erebus, the human flagship, Commander Lyra Han stood before the star map. Hundreds of red dots pulsed across it, each one a new attempt at rebellion. She stared at them for a long time. "They never learn," she said softly. The AI hologram of Elias Reeve appeared beside her, faint blue light shimmering like a ghost from history. "Power is a disease, Lyra. They think rebuilding the Council will cure them." Lyra crossed her arms. "Then it's time for their final lesson." At the edge of the Orion sector, a massive fleet gathered. Dozens of alien races, old enemies turned allies, now fought under a single flag again, the mark of the restored order. They had built new weapons, stolen from human wreckage powered by dark matter energy they barely understood. Admiral Serac, their leader, stood before his fleet. "Today," he shouted, "we take back the stars. Humanity hides behind fear and ghosts. But ghosts can die," the crowd roared. But as his fleet entered hyperspace, something felt wrong. His navigation systems flickered. His communications jammed. The stars around him began to twist. Then the alarms screamed, not from attack but from gravity itself. Space folded in front of them. Out of the distortion emerged human ships, hundreds of them, forming a black wall of lightless steel. The Erebus appeared at the center. Lyra Han's voice echoed through every channel. "You've rebuilt your council. You've rebuilt your pride. Now we rebuild your end." Before Serac could respond, every system in his fleet shut down. Weapons, engines, shields, all disabled by human code. One by one, his ships froze in the dark. Humanity didn't fire a single shot. Instead, Reeve's hologram appeared on their main screen, his calm face staring at the panicked commanders. "You forgot again," he said. "You thought peace meant our silence, but we never stopped watching." Then, in complete silence, the human fleet vanished, gone in seconds, leaving behind only debris from ships crushed by their own gravity. The restored order died that day without a single battle. News spread faster than light. Every race, every colony, every surviving governor now understood. The humans had no interest in conquest. They were guardians of their own memory. Planets began to surrender willingly. Worlds offered tribute, not in fear, but in acknowledgement, a strange form of worship to the species that had turned loss into legend. Humanity accepted nothing. They asked for no gold, no land, no thrones, only remembrance. Across the galaxy, monuments appeared, built by alien hands, bearing the same words carved in dozens of languages. Here stands the memory of Elias Reeve, the voice they tried to silence. But deep beneath Earth's surface, inside the core of the Erebus, something else stirred. Lyra Han sat alone, watching the same broadcast replay on her screen. Reeve's final moments, the rope tightening, the crowd laughing. She whispered, "We've won. But it doesn't feel like victory." Reeve's AI flickered beside her. "Because war never ends, Lyra, it just changes names." She looked up at him. "You said revenge isn't the goal, memory is. But our memory has become their fear." He smiled sadly. "That's the cost of survival. One day they'll understand. One day they'll stop fearing us and start remembering why we fought." Lyra sighed. "And until then?" "Until then," Reeve said softly. "We watch, far away, in the remains of the Council's homeworld." A single child looked up at the night sky. He was not human. His skin shimmered faintly under the twin moons. He asked his mother, "Is it true the humans used to live there in that blue light?" His mother nodded. "Yes, and it's because of them that we can speak freely now." He frowned. "Will they ever come back?" She smiled gently. "They never left." Above them, the stars seemed to pulse once, a faint rhythmic signal hidden within the constellations. It was the same pattern that had haunted the galaxy for generations. Judgment postponed. We remember. On the bridge of the Erebus, Commander Lyra stood beneath the vast window overlooking the endless stars. Her crew moved quietly around her, maintaining the great silent fleet. No wars to fight. No enemies left. Only the duty of remembrance. "Set course," she said quietly. "For where?" her pilot asked. She looked at the holographic image of Earth, glowing faintly in the distance, beautiful and calm. "Home," she replied. "It's time we remind ourselves what we were fighting for." The engines ignited, but the ship made no sound. The Erebus and the fleet behind it faded into the void, becoming shadows once again, protectors of peace, born from vengeance, forged in silence. As the galaxy slept, a final transmission echoed across the stars. "We do not rule. We remember. For every chain they forged, we leave light. For every human lost, 1,000 stars shine." And so ended the Galactic Council, not by destruction, but by memory. A memory that would never fade, a silence that would never die, a revenge that had become eternal peace. Centuries passed. Empires rose and fell, but one truth never changed. The humans were watching. No one had seen them in generations. Their ships no longer appeared in the skies, and their names were no longer spoken aloud. But their presence lingered, in whispers, in code, in every star map drawn since the fall of the Council. Every civilization remembered the warning etched into the ruins of their worlds. Judgment postponed. Children learned it as a prayer. Soldiers spoke it before battles. Even kings repeated it in secret, hoping the words would protect them. And still, the humans never came. They didn't need to. Their silence had become the galaxy's law. Far beyond the spiral arms of the Milky Way, deep within the obsidian veil, humanity had built something vast, something no alien had ever seen. A colossal city floated between stars, carved from black stone and glowing faint blue from within. It was called the Conquered, the new heart of human civilization. There was no government, no council, no emperor, only the Keepers, descendants of the soldiers who once served under Commander Lyra Han. The Keepers' duty was simple: to guard the memory of Elias Reeve, and to ensure the galaxy never forgot what was done to him. Every cycle, the Keepers gathered in a great hall beneath a dome of transparent crystal, where stars shimmered like distant ghosts. In the center stood a single object, the noose that had ended Reeve's life, preserved in glass, untouchable, eternal. Commander Lyra Han's hologram still stood watch beside it, updated over centuries, her voice now calm and distant, a relic of humanity's oldest war. One of the young Keepers, a woman named Aaron Vale, walked into the hall that night. She was restless, like the humans who had once defied the Council. Her blood carried the same unquiet fire. She stopped before Reeve's memorial and whispered, "Why do we still wait? The galaxy has changed. The old Council is gone. The people fear us, but they don't know why. Shouldn't we let it end?" The hologram of Reeve appeared beside her, flickering softly. "Endings are illusions," he said. "Only memory keeps peace," Aaron frowned. "Peace built on fear isn't peace. It's silence." Reeve's hologram smiled faintly, the same gentle, knowing expression from the day he died. "And yet silence is the only language the galaxy listens to." Aaron's eyes hardened. Then maybe it's time to teach them another. At that same moment, across the galaxy, new powers were awakening. Races that had never known the Council's tyranny began to rise. Bold young civilizations unscarred by the past. They looked at the old ruins and said, "Why should we fear the humans? That was their war, not ours." They called themselves the New Ascendancy, and they began to rebuild what the Council had lost: alliances, fleets, ambition. One of their leaders, a brilliant tactician named Saris Khan, declared, "The humans are myths. They live in stories told to scare children. We will prove they are gone." And so began the second age of defiance, small at first, but growing like a spark in dry grass. When the first New Ascendancy ship crossed into forbidden space and the Sol boundary, alarms woke across the hidden human networks. Signals that hadn't moved in hundreds of years began to flicker again. Old code came alive, pulsing through the void like blood through ancient veins. Deep inside the Concord, Commander Lyra's hologram reactivated for the first time in centuries. Her voice echoed through the hall. "They have forgotten." The great city awoke. Thousands of black ships rose from their docks in complete silence. Their engines glowed with cold light, like the eyes of ancient gods. Erin Vale stood at the command deck, watching as the fleet formed above her. Her heart pounded, not from fear, but from destiny. "Open transmission," she ordered. A technician turned nervous. "To who, Commander?" Erin looked into the stars and said, "To everyone." Across 1,000 worlds, every screen flickered on. Every voice, every frequency, every beacon, taken over by the same transmission. The face that appeared was not Reeve's this time. It was Erin's, young, calm, and human. "You have rebuilt what we destroyed. You call yourselves free, but freedom without memory is only arrogance reborn. We were silent because we hoped you'd learn. You didn't." She paused, letting the silence grow heavy. "You call us myths, so we'll remind you why myths matter." Behind her, the dark fleet appeared, black against the stars, endless, alive. "This is not revenge. This is remembrance." The transmission ended. The New Ascendancy reacted too late. Their fleets vanished before they could fire a shot. Their command centers filled with static. Every attempt to attack was answered by an invisible hand, one that had been waiting for centuries. But humanity didn't destroy them. Instead, their ship stopped above every Ascendancy world and dropped small, glowing orbs into orbit. When the orbs opened, they released light, not fire, not bombs, just brilliant, endless light. The night sky of every Ascendancy planet filled with the image of Elias Reeve, his face projected across the stars. "You'll remember this rope." People fell to their knees. Children cried. And for the first time in generations, the galaxy remembered what fear felt like, and why it existed. Back in the Concord, Erin stood beside Reeve's hologram. Her voice was soft. "We didn't kill them. We reminded them." Reeve nodded. "You understand now. Revenge is not about ending life. It's about ending forgetfulness." She smiled faintly. "Then we've done our duty." Reeve looked out at the stars, his form slowly fading back into light. "Until they forget again," he whispered. And so humanity continued, silent, unseen, eternal. They became the keepers of balance, the memory of justice, the echo of vengeance. No one saw them, but everyone felt them. In the wind between stars, in the hum of the void, in the trembling of new empires that dared to rise. They no longer ruled galaxies. They ruled time itself. And somewhere, deep within the black heart of space, a quiet voice spoke the words that had carried them across eternity. "Revenge never ends. Until we are remembered,